And I say that the BYNV, the BYNV, that's the book for me. The BYNV, the BYNV, the BYNV, yes, that's the book for me. Okay, this is a short story, and you know, you have to catch a kid younger and younger now to be able to teach them anything because they know it all. By 10, they know it all. I have a 16-year-old that still listens. I have an 18-year-old that listens a little bit, but I've got a 10-year-old that listens none. Okay, this book is by David Moore, Two Servants and a King. After hearing about a fair and just king, Bill and Jeff decide to start their exciting journey. Sadly, most people thought kings were mean and selfish. Many people did not believe that there could be a kind and loving king that cared about his people. You know, that's what right now you have almost everyone who believes that you're going to meet a mean sovereign. Bill said, if the king is so wonderful, then we should ask him if we can serve him. Jeff thought that was a very great idea. Bill and Jeff were not happy. Uh, Bill and Jeff were not happy about where they were living. So there's a lot of people that are not happy with their circumstances, huh? And they thought of living in a land where you could be happy was exciting. They packed their things for the journey. It was time to meet a new king. So, are you on your journey to meet the king? Bill said, I am so excited to meet the king. I wonder what he will ask me to do. And Jeff had a different attitude. What if he asks me to do something that I do not like? The devil told me that one day through a person that was demon possessed. Said, how are you going to even know if you want to like it in heaven? That's a devil's trick right there. And then, and I go, well, I've been there. And he goes, yeah, you have 2 or 3 or 4 times. I said, so I think I got a good idea what heaven's like. And he shut up. That's when you know that the devil is speaking freely from your children. When they tell you that, yes, you've been to heaven. Well, yeah, okay. You know that my child would have never told me that they know I've been to heaven. And that they don't think I would like it there. That's when you got Satan talking right out of your kids, right? Okay, sorry. But, it's good to be able to identify the enemy. So back to this. Jeffrey had a different attitude. What if he asked me to do something I do not like? Bill said, oh, so what? I'm ready for anything. And the closer they got to the city, the more their excitement grew. Both men were so excited they almost started skipping. Bill and Jeff stopped when they had got close to the big gates and sat down, and they just watched the town, knowing that they were making a big decision. Together they took a deep breath and stood up and then entered the new town. They could not believe what they saw when walking past the big gates. This place was nothing like their hometown. The people in their hometown were sad and lonely, not to mention always scared of something. Here everyone seemed happy. Some people were laughing so hard their eyes wrinkled. And after looking around the new town, Bill and Jeff decided it was time to meet the king. And when they reached the castle door, there stood a big guard. Jeff was a little afraid. He whispered to Bill, "Maybe we should turn back." However, Bill could not contain his excitement. He took 2 giant steps forward and looked up at the guard, taking a deep breath, and said, "We are here to serve the king. May we see him?" The guard slowly looked down at Bill. Here's your guard. And then let's see how they drew. So here they showed the. This is very pagan. It's got a dome. Let's see. Here, they're sitting outside the city. They don't mean to be pagan. They don't know. Okay. To Bill and Jeff's surprise, a big smile covered the guard's face. The guard said, "Of course, the king welcomes anyone who wants to speak with him." The smile on the guard's face shocked Jeff. Maybe the rumors were true, he thought. If the guard is this kind, then there's a chance the king is, well, amazing. Bill and Jeff followed the guard into the castle. The castle looked much different than the castle looked much different than they expected. This grand hallway was bright and shiny. It was not dark and lonely as they had expected a castle to be. People were smiling at both Bill and Jeff as they walked past. Before they knew what had happened, they were in front of 2 beautiful doors. Their hearts started to beat quickly as the doors opened wide. There was a rush of happiness as they realized that they were face to face with the king. You know, in the prayer call, he keeps saying that his doors are open. Then this prayer call, he tells us how to open the doors, and one of the things that you can do to open the doors. Anyway, I haven't got to the prayer call this week, but just a FYI. Okay, so they were happy. They were face to face with the king. The king was sitting on an elegant throne. It was very beautiful. As the king saw them walk through the beautiful doors, he stood quickly to his feet. The king looked straight at Bill and Jeff with a big smile. His smile was bigger than the guard's smile and even had a twinkle in his eye. The king said with a booming voice, "Welcome!" Being filled with excitement, Bill and Jeff ran forward. When reaching the king, they both fell at his feet. Bill said, "Oh, king, we have come from a land far away. We heard you were a wonderful king. We have heard about the great things you do for your people," explained Jeff, "and we want to serve you," said Bill. Everyone in the room paused to hear what the king would say. The king's smile got brighter and he said, "How wonderful! I welcome you into my kingdom." And the two men stood up, smiling at each other, and they knew this was a great decision. The king looked them in the eye and said, "I only have one rule. To live in my kingdom, you must obey my instructions." Bill and Jeff looked at each other. This seemed a little too simple. Then the king asked, "What do you need?" And the men began to ask about things like protection, food, safety, shelter. Mostly they said they wanted to be happy. And the king smiled and said, "I understand. That is all provided here in my town. I still only have one rule. You must obey my instructions." Bill and Jeff looked at the king and said, "We accept." Excitement filled the air while everyone started to clap. The king said, "Because of your commitment, I will take care of all your needs." Let me say that again. The king said, "Because of your commitment, I will take care of all your needs." And the king said to the big guard, "Take these two and show them their new home." That night, Jeff and Bill slept comfortably in their new beds. Finally, they felt safe. And it looks like a little Mexican house. The next day, Bill was the first to approach the king. Bill was excited to serve such a great king. The king said, "I need you to deliver a message." Bill told the king, "That's simple enough, but I do not know where to go." The king handed him a big bill. The king handed Bill a map. Oh, I should show you the hand too. He's giving him a scroll to hand deliver. "The instructions are simple," said the king. "Follow the road that leads out of town. The end of the road will offer you a choice to turn right or left. You must turn right. When you get to the river, a guard will be at the bridge. Tell the guard you come in the name of the king, and he will let you pass. Following the right road will lead you to a city. Knock on the city gates. When they open the door, give the guard the message." Bill began to get a little nervous. "Oh, king, what if I do it wrong?" The king placed a strong hand on Bill's shoulder, then smiled and said, "Do not worry. Trust me. Following the instructions, Follow the instructions and everything will turn out great. Remember, just trust me." That's a lot. In the prayer call, he says that a lot too. Just trust me. Bill took the map from the king. He walked past the beautiful doors and out the big Bill felt a feeling of hope as he began his journey to deliver the message for his new king. Could you believe that might be the message you're supposed to be delivering, right? As Bill left the city, he kept repeating to himself, just trust the king, just trust the king. When Bill reached the end of the road, he saw the point where the road divided just like the king had mentioned. Looking to the left, he saw a beautiful mountain range. The road was bright and shiny, and the road was also wide and smooth. And the road to the left looked like it would be easy to travel. The road to the right did not look as easy to travel. That road looked like it passed through a dark, scary tunnel of woods. The right road seemed to be in bad shape, too. It had hills and valleys that looked very dangerous. Bill looked to the left again and thought to himself, wow, it would sure be simpler to walk down that road. He looked down at his map again and made sure the king had instructed him to go to the right. Sure enough, the map says to take the right road. Bill did not understand why the king asked him to travel such a rough road, but Bill was going to trust the king no matter what. Bill turned right and began to walk through the woods. Going down the hills was pretty easy, but coming up the hills was rugged. At times, Bill felt like he was being watched as he walked through the dark parts of the trail. Finally, Bill saw the bridge ahead, and he got close. As he got closer, a guard stepped in Bill's path to stop him from crossing the bridge. Bill told the guard, I come in the name of the king. Bill held out the message from the king. Looking over the message, the guard smiled as he let Bill pass over the bridge. As Bill continued on his journey, he realized he had no defense. If he was attacked, he did not feel safe. He did not feel like he was protected as the king promised. After what seemed like a very long, hard road, Bill saw two big doors at the end of the road. He walked up. Sorry, guys. After what seemed like a very long, hard road, Bill saw two big doors at the end of the road. He walked up to the doors, a little worried. Bill thought to himself, I am going to trust the king. I'm going to trust the king. Bill did not feel like trusting the king. He felt like running away. The noise coming from the wall was terrifying. There was a lot of shouting. Bill began to think about all the stories he had heard about the king. He thought about how the king smiled at him, and he remembered the king's words. Remember, just trust me. Hasn't God told you that? Just trust him. Bill thought, oh, king, I'm going to trust you. He straightened his back and puffed out his chest and formed a big fist and pounded on the door. And the big doors of the city creaked as they opened wide. When Bill looked into the town, he saw something surprising. The noise he thought was scary turned out to be a party. The guard said, please come in. We've been expecting you. Bill said, but I must deliver this message for the king, from the king. They're eating. The man at the gate took the message and said, thank you very much. Your mission is a success. The people were so excited when they realized the message from the king had arrived. They had a big feast ready for Bill. After eating and making new friends, Bill began his journey back home. The journey home felt different to Bill. The road did not seem scary this time. The road seemed a little brighter than it did the first time. The king welcomed Bill home with a big hug. And so there's your King Yahusha, or yeah, King Yahusha. Let's call him King Yahusha. How did the trip go? Asked the king. Bill knelt to lay a box on the ground. The city I visited sent you this box of treasure, O king, said Bill. The king just laughed. No, Bill, that box is not for me. That box of treasure is for you. The journey was a test. Because you trusted me, you get to keep the box full of treasures. Bill could not believe his ears. He never expected such a wonderful gift. The king said, sit with me for a little longer. I'm expecting someone to arrive shortly. After sitting with the king for a while, Jeff came bustling through the door. Jeff did not look happy. His clothes were torn, his hair was messed up, and he even had a black eye. Jeff was not smiling. Jeff walked straight to the king with an angry face, and he said, King, I am very angry with you. You said you would take care of me. You said you would protect me. You did not protect me on this journey. The king looked at Jeff with concern. Then the king asked Jeff, did you follow my instructions? Did you take the right into the woods at the end of the road? Did you go across the bridge at the river in my name? Jeff said, yes, well, mostly. I followed most of your instructions. When I got to the end of the road, I looked to the right, and there it was dark and scary tunnel of woods, and the road seemed rough, and the road did not look like I could get through to the city. The road to the left seemed very open and welcoming. That road was very wide and smooth, too. I decided not to go down the scary road, Jeff continued. Instead, I took a shortcut and went down the big, wide road to a much easier to walk on than that road. When I reached to the end of that road, an army came after me, and they ripped my clothes and hurt me. I got away just in time, taking some short, deep breaths. Jeff said with fire in his voice, that's why I'm angry. You said you would protect me. You said to trust you. Then, before the king could respond, Jeff stormed out of the room. Jeff threw open the beautiful doors and stomped down the hallway. He continued walking past the city people who were very confused. Jeff was headed back to the town where he had left. Bill turned to the king and asked, my king, why were you not able to protect Jeff on the journey? The king looked at Bill with a tear running down his cheek. I want to protect Jeff. I gave him the same instructions I gave you. The king sat before Bill and said, Let me ask you something, Bill. Did you feel like someone was watching you as you walked through the dark, scary woods? Bill said, Yes, I felt like eyes were watching me in the dark. That was a little scary. The king said, The journey was a test. I had soldiers watching you from the great dark woods, and they were told to keep you, to make sure you made the journey safely. The king continued to explain, When Jeff took a left, I had no soldiers on that road. My enemies owns the road to the left. The enemy ensures that the road to the left is smooth, so people will choose to go down the wrong road because it looks easier. Isn't that the truth? The wicked seem to always win. Satan makes sure that the wicked always have their pockets lined with money and peace in their homes. They get along with each other. I mean, not all the time, but only when they start trying to reach for God does hell break out in their homes, right? So, obviously, you've got to follow the instructions and don't go down the road of wicked choices. The prayer call's about that last week and this week. Continuing with the read. So here he is with Bill, the King Yahusha. Okay. The king looked at Bill with a tear running down his cheek. I wanted to protect him, Jeff. I wanted to protect Jeff. I gave him the same instructions as you. Okay, we already read that part. Let's see. But I felt where were we? He had no when Jeff took a left, I had no soldiers on that road. The enemy owns that road to the left, and the enemy ensures that the road to the left is smooth. So people will choose to go down the wrong road because it looks easier. If you trust my directions, I will always protect you, says the king. Sometimes the road is hard. Sometimes it is not easy. Sometimes it even seems scary. But I will always have protection available for you. That's why I ask you to trust me. The only way to trust me is to follow my instructions. The right road is the one I control. That day, Bill learned a valuable lesson. As long as he trusted the king, life always ended up wonderful. So every prayer call ends in trust in me. So that is a good lesson. Okay, continuing on. The king was right. Sometimes the journey was challenging. Sometimes the path was hard. Sometimes life was very scary. But Bill always knew the king was watching over him and protecting him. Bill learned that following the instructions of the king is the only way to trust him. If you walk your own way, you are saying, I trust myself and my decisions more than I trust the king. From that day forward, Bill listened to the voice of the king. Bill trusted the king with all his heart and did not trust in his own knowledge. He always acknowledged the king's directions, and the king continued to direct his path. Now, that's obviously a rewrite of Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6 by David A. Moore. Okay, so what are the instructions? Have you read the instructions lately? Well, I can tell you one thing. It's in the BYNV. That's the book for me. I stand upon the Word of God, the BYNV. And the instructions, of course, were simplified there. But if you go to Leviticus chapter 23, it talks about the appointed times of Yahuwah, which you are to proclaim as Kodesh Mikra, my Modium, that means my set apart time, are these: 6 yeomen work is done, but the 7th yom is a Sabbath of rest. A Kodesh Mikra. Do not work. You do not work. It is a Sabbath to Yahuwah. All your dwellings, in all your dwellings. These are the appointed times of Yahuwah. Set apart Mikra, which you have to proclaim at the appointed times in the first month on the 14th Yom of the month. Between the evenings is the Passover. Okay, so it tells you what day to have Passover. A lot of people are saying, what day are we supposed to have Passover? Well, the day after the moon, the new moon, not the full moon, but the new moon, which I think was the 19th. Then you count 14 days. And that's the day, at the evening of that day, between the evening and the morning, is the Passover to Yahuwah. And the 15th Yom of this month, so the very next day, is the festival of unleavened bread to Yahuwah. 7 Yomim, you eat unleavened bread. And on the first Yom, you have a Kodesh Mikra. You do not do any severe work, and you shall bring an offering made by fire to Yahuwah for 7 Yomim. On the 7th Yom is a Kodesh Mikra. You do no severe or servile work. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and say, and you shall say to them, when you come into the land which I give you, and shall reap in its harvest, you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest, and he shall wave the sheaf. He shall wave the sheaf before Yahuwah for an acceptance, for your acceptance. On the morrow after the Sabbath, the priest wave it. So that's going to be on a Monday, on a Sunday. It's the only Sunday worship that you're going to see is a few days of worship like this. So this is a Sunday worship, the wave offering of the sheaves before Yahuwah. Okay? I think today's the 7th or the 8th. I have to look at my calendar of Abib right now. And then it talks more about the first fruits. Okay? Okay. And then it talks about counting the 7 weeks, the 7 Sabbaths, till you get to the 50th day for the day of Pentecost, right? But that's instructions that you need, right? That's instructions that you need. The 10 commands, those are instructions that you need. If you stay in Him, in the fruits of the Spirit, and in His 10 commands, that's how you stay in alignment with Him, so that you will be protected, right? Cared for and provided for. I had an opportunity, and I felt like God was saying that if you go to that service, to that conference, I'll be here when you get back, but I'm not going with you. I had a decision to make, and I decided to stay. But my flesh wanted to go. I mean, my flesh is still pouting. It still wants to go. But he asked, how important is this prayer call and getting it out on time to you? And obviously, it's very important to God. And it is important to me, too. So, come check me out. I'll see about making another live in a minute. I just wanted to read that children's book to you. About don't just run off without the instructions. You need the instructions. Because you're going to be displeased if you go on the road where His angels are not posted for you. His angels are posted along the way. Okay? You need to be on the road that the angels are posted on. Let's see what everybody said before we get off of here. Okay, Ricardo says hello. Hannah likes the readings and says hello. Clinton says hello. I don't know what that means. And then he said, you are the best. So thank you, Luca. Or Lucia. And she says she likes my voice. I like y'all too. God bless you. I'll talk to you soon. I'll be reading again in just a little while. I'm going to take a little break.